welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we're going to be discussing the second half of Virgins. We're going to be doing Sonali and the other girl I don't like in this episode. And so if you did miss the first episode, this is the second one. If you missed the first episode where we talked about Alex and Rasha, you can head on over to the previous episode and take a listen to that before listening to this one. Okay, so my voice sounds a little off today. I'm not sick, I promise. It's just a little ugh, but I should be back to normal. When I record tomorrow. So you're probably gonna be getting a few episodes with my voice sounding like this. Anyways, let's get into it. So Sonali, she is 37. She says men view sex like it's getting coffee. True. True. She says that she doesn't want an STD or STI. That is the exact same thing. And usually no one does. No one wants an STD or an STI. No one wants that, you know? Anyways, we see her on a date with a guy named John. They both like Italian. What a coinkydink. I don't think that's a stretch. I think there are a lot of people who like Italian. Anyways, she orders her drink and it's sex on a beach. Really? Really? Of all the drinks, that's the drink? We did this on purpose. Anyways, she comes from an Indian family due to the cultural trauma. They raised her as a traditional Indian girl, so no boys, no going out, nothing. She has never watched porn before, never masturbated, has not experienced an orgasm. She thinks, honey, if you need to think about it, means you have not. But, I mean, if you haven't had sex and you haven't explored your own body, then no, you are most likely not going to experience an orgasm. Her family did try arranging a marriage for her, but she said no, which is very interesting because she says on the one hand that her family raised her very traditionally. Traditionally, in Indian culture, arranged marriages is something that happens. So it's interesting that she says no to that, but she at the same time was able to say no. Things that make you think, that's all. She basically told her parents, like, you never allowed me to date. So, like, how can I be in an arranged marriage? Well, that's usually how that works, I guess. Anyways, then she admits to John, she's on the date, that she is still a virgin. And you can literally see him thinking, oh, hell no. But he falls silent and he says, I don't think I have ever had sex with a virgin. Like, ever? Like, ever? Anyway, she does not like saying the word sex. And I feel like that's going to be a problem if you potentially want to lose your virginity, which she says that she does. But anyway, she prefers to say making love. Ew. Listen, again, I'm in a relationship. I do, have intimacy with my partner. I do not call it making love, even though I love him. That is not what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like I show my love for him in those moments, as does he, but we don't call it that. We say sex because that's what it is. Or, once in a while, yeah, you might say, fucking or whatever, but like 9 times out of 10, we just call it sex. So, anyways, you're entitled to feel how you feel and to think how you think. It's just, I think, unfortunately for her, she is creating an unrealistic view, kind of like with Rasha, an unrealistic view, very different, mind you, of what sex is. That is this Prince Charming coming and sweeping you off your feet and, making sweet, passionate love to you, like, or like in a romance novel. That is not real. Anyway. She says any intimacy is special. She has fallen in love with just a kiss. So imagine when she has sex. she's gonna be like that white lady and obsessed. That's what's gonna happen. Anyway, she has only ever kissed 6 guys. Listen, that is she's more experienced than some of the people here. Because I don't know how much Alex really kissed. Rasha says she had never really kissed anybody before. And then the girl that we don't like here that I'll talk about after this, um, I don't think she really kissed a lot either. So go on with your bad self, Sonali. She also has experience all the way to third base, which I think again is more than anyone else here. Um, and she says that she experienced this with a guy who was significantly older than her, 29 years to be exact. Cue daddy issues. Whoa. I mean, listen, do you boo? But 29 years for someone, like, I don't know how old she was, but either way, whether this person was in their 50s or 60s, that's a lot. You know what I mean? Um, for someone who is experienced, that's a lot for someone who is not experienced. Um, but anyways, again, going with your bad self. But she says after that he had ghosted her. Because again, let's be face it, you're dealing with men your own age who don't want to deal with you being a virgin. You're definitely not going to want, an older man is not going to want to deal with that. So, but I think for Sonali, it's a little deeper than just her virginity. We'll get to it. So she has a vision board. And you damn right, I paused and wrote down some of the stuff she has to say here. She has a vision board of her ideal man, like a man kissing a forehead. Listen, as a person who has experienced forehead kisses from my ex-husband, it's the shit. I do have to admit that. However, to have the expectation that your man, your ideal man, does forehead kisses, you might be sadly waiting for a long time because he was the only one. My ex was the only one who did that. Out of all of the men I've been with, and there's a few, he's the only one. So you'd be waiting a long time for that one. Anyways, she's like, I fall in love with just one kiss. She believes in the power of manifestation, just like Darcy and Stacy. She's like, he should be smart. Her celebrity crushes are Chris Hemsworth, same girl, same. Nick Jonas, same girl, same. And may this man rest in power, Robert Redford, same. um, Henry Golding, who I don't know who that is, and Trevor Noah. Yeah. Half of them, she says, have foreign accents, so maybe that says something for her. Maybe. If you have a belly, boy, I don't want to see you. Girl, you can't be picky and choosy. I mean, listen, you gotta look past that kind of shit. Personally, like, I've never really been with a man who has a six pack, really. I mean, kind of, but like, not really. It's not an expectation. If you have a little belly, you have a little belly. That's your body, whatever. I don't care because that's not the main thing for me. So it's just, anyways, um, they have to be at least 5'8" because they have to be taller than her. Deal breakers, anger issues or bad temper, facial hair. God forbid. And I take offense because my man has facial hair and he looks fucking fantastic. I've seen him without facial hair and with facial hair. I prefer that beard, honey. Like he's hot. So I'm like, what's wrong with facial hair? Anyways, halitosis, fair enough. Infidelity, lying, drugs and smoking, snoring. You better fix your sleep apnea, apparently. Extreme in brackets, meaning, sorry, extreme in brackets profanity. So, yeah. Two left feet, you better know how to dance. If you don't know how to dance, you can't be with me, honey. Okay. Um, Having to kiss a guy with facial hair is like kissing a goat, she said. Okay, first of all, how do you know what it feels like to kiss a goat? And I'm going to assume you've kissed a man with facial hair to come to that conclusion. But anyways, no Casanova, none of that. She doesn't want that. No mixed messages, no games. She realizes she is a demisexual. So if you don't know what a demisexual is, demisexual is basically a person who needs to have the intelligence, the emotional connection with a person um before the physical part. They tie that in with that. So that's basically, which is not like crazy. I don't think there's anything crazy about that. Um she's like, I have strict standards, but I don't want to waste time. I mean, don't go back on your standards. That's because you want to lose your virginity. But maybe we can ease up a little bit. Like maybe if he does snore, is not a big of a deal. Or maybe if he does have facial hair, we can look past that. If he has halitosis, maybe we could just pop some gum in his mouth. You know what I mean? There's things that we can work with. Um, so she doesn't know if sexual intercourse is going to happen for her, and here's why. She thinks that there might be a physical barrier for her. She has never inserted even a tampon into her vagina. Pap tests, forget it. She's not experienced that either, which I might be completely wrong with this. But tell me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm a sexually active person. I've had sex, so I think very differently, obviously on this. Do women who haven't had sex have to have pap tests? Like, I'm assuming so, because you don't need to, like, if you're looking for stuff like HPV or anything like that, you don't have to have like actual sexual intercourse to contract HPV or cervical cancer or any of those things. But I'm curious because I just never thought about it for a person who hasn't had sex before. I just know from my perspective, I didn't start doing pap tests until after I started having sex. So again, that was, nearly 20 years ago. So a lot has changed, I'm sure, with women's health, but I just don't think about because you know, but yeah, no, I was very curious about that. Anyway, she found a pelvic floor physiotherapist. I've used one of those myself, who can hopefully help her with this situation. That my situation was very different, just tightness. Not that I can't insert things into my vagina. It would make things very awkward in my relationship. But anyways, so yeah, said to help her with this, or she may just die virgin and never have sex for the rest of her life. That seems sad, doesn't it? Anyway, we are at the pelvic floor doctor, correction. She never tried to insert a tampon. I think we said this. She said, I've never had a pap smear. I have not had sex. And she says, admit it's a fear, which understandable. If you've never had sex, yes, you're going to have fear around it. Um, but then we start doing what the pelvic floor therapist is doing. They said we're just going to place the glove at the opening. Next, we're going to look at the muscles just at the inside of where she is, which was not very far, I don't think. But then she instantly has pain. And when she goes to the left a bit more, she has more pain. And she's like, it's a shock. She's very like audibly gasping. I don't know if it's the anticipation of it, if she actually is feeling pain or discomfort. I don't know. So they basically talked to her about a medical dilator because this pelvic floor physiotherapist believes she has this thing called vaginismus. There you go. Which I've never heard of. Basically, her walls are tightening up whenever she's trying to insert something. So the dilators are going to help with stretching those things out. And she's like, how do I know where to insert it? But this process could take anywhere from about 4 to 8 months before she has any form of comfort with these dilators. So we see her literally, y'all, doing the dilators on camera. Not me, not I. I would not be doing this on camera. She says it feels weird, it hurts, it's uncomfortable. The pain level is a 7, which, yeah. So then we see her seeing this woman named Kimberly, who is a sex therapist. She explains that I didn't even know you could have sex before marriage. Like, she literally thought, like, your vagina shut down until you're married, and then all of a sudden it opens up when you're married. That you couldn't physically have sex before marriage. She said her first kiss was at 26. She asks, do you ever feel a vibration in your loins? Yeah, that's called horniness. That calls wanting something, you know what I mean? And, well, this is what the therapist asked her, by the way. And she says, well, do women have loins and men have groins? No, honey. No. Loins is just your sexual feelings, your sexual areas, Men have it, we all have it. So, um, she asks, do you know where your clitoris is? Well, this is what the therapist asking her, where your G spot is? And no, she doesn't. She has no clue. I have to ask, did she go to a public school or even okay, so for me, I went to a Catholic school and we still learned, even though Catholicism practices abstinence. Look how well that worked. But anyways, they practice abstinence, but we still learned where, at the very least, I learned in grade 9 where the clitoris is and the functioning of the clitoris. We learned these things. So I know in from public schools, it's very different. They don't practice abstinence, so I'm sure things are similar but my question is, did she go to public school? Did she learn about these things? Because, I don't understand how, virgin or not, and I understand she's never explored herself, but how do you not know where these things are? Like, I can understand maybe not knowing where your G spot is. I can get that. Um, you learn by exploring. You can get instructions of where to find the G spot, but it's gonna be a little difficult. You learn by exploring and you find it. Sometimes men don't even know where the fuck it is, so whatever. But as women, we should know where our body what our body is capable of. So I just don't know how, without exploring, how you still don't know where the things are. Like, you okay, walk with me here. When you even shower and clean yourself, it's impossible to not hit your clitoris as women. So does she not even know in those moments what's going on? Like, I just have a lot of questions and I'm confused by how she doesn't know certain things, but she says that she knows that women have 3 holes. The ass, the vagina, and then her pee hole. She knows those, which obviously nothing is going in your pee hole, but going out, you know? And again, where ours is obviously different than a man's, but men have a pee hole as well, right? It's all the same thing, but we still have different, you know. But anyways, that's just kind of, you know what I mean? She says she needs to make friends. The therapist says she needs to make friends with her vagina, and I agree because she doesn't even know her own body and what it is capable of. She's just thinking sex is the act of intercourse, but it's not. And let's face it, women, the easiest way for us to achieve orgasm is by the clitoris or the G spot. It's not actual intercourse. So, like, she's never gonna fully be able to understand herself and understand what she wants and what she needs and what she likes unless she's exploring herself. But I do understand the mental block for her and the reason why she can't do that. It's screw religious trauma and cultural trauma and all of that shit because, like, I'm not trying to talk ill on her Indian culture. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But unfortunately, for some cultures, and not just Indian culture, but for these repressed cultures where women are just we're just baby factories, um, it's that's exactly it. Sex in these cultures or these thoughts and these views, because I know again, this is an extreme. Not all Indian families are like this. This is the extreme. Um, so it's like women is kind of viewing the fact of sex is for making children. Sex is not pleasure. It's not about that. And she needs to get to a place where she can be like, sure, sex is meant for those reasons, but it can also be pleasurable. But can it be both? You know? Anyway, she's like, well, let me get my puppet so we can explore the female anatomy. She's like, would you consider uh, a sexual surrogate? Oh, what now? Apparently, there is an occupation out there of a sexual surrogate where it's kind of like an escort without the sex. You're getting paid for it and it's ethical. Um, I've never heard of this. But yeah, I think she needs it. She says there are trained professionals to help with everything she's currently going through. So we meet Wayne, who is her surrogate. 1 week later, he's at her house, and we kind of see the progression of what's been going on with him. So, current day, he's at the house. There has been no touching yet. Nothing like that has happened. But she's open to exploring touch, but she's also scared. He wants for her to be happy within herself. So it's clear, like, this sexual surrogate is not about just the actual sex itself, but empowerment. I'm here for it, you know? Um, but he he says, like, you know, want to be happy with yourself, like touching yourself in that particular masturbation is basically what you want to get at. But she's uncomfortable with this conversation and with the idea of masturbating. She says, like, I don't crave sex. I Women are very different than men, especially when you get older, I'm sure. Especially when you've never had it. I'm gonna guess. But I find it really hard to believe that she's never craved sex or she doesn't crave it. I find that hard to believe. I think she does. But I also think that her cultural trauma is kind of shaming her into not having those feelings. I do think she craves it, and I do think she wants it. But in these moments where she needs to be vulnerable and try something different, she, yeah, she's just not, she's scared to go there, I guess. She says it's not her fault. She can't go there, which is 100%. I agree with her. It's not her fault that she is the way she is and she feels the way she feels, but it is her responsibility now to get past that if that's what she wants. Um, so he says, you know, essentially the same thing. It's not your fault, but you can change it. Seduce yourself. Because again, if you want someone to seduce you, you need to know how to seduce yourself. And she says she can't receive that. She says we're different genders, different cultures. I can't help it. This is how I am. Yes, you're different genders. Yes, you're different cultures, 100%. But we're all human at the end of the day, and humans have needs. If you think about it, and I learned this in religion class, actually, we have innate needs as human beings. That's food, water, sex. Those are innate. Those are things that we need. It's not privileges, it's what we need. Now, obviously, that need can change depending on who you are as a person, but it's a need. Doesn't matter your culture, doesn't matter your gender. That's just how it is. So she kind of takes off. The producers are like, I think he's just trying to see things through your eye and give you a different perspective. She does come back out and she asks, can you massage me in a professional manner, of course? He hesitates at first, which is interesting because I think, again, are you doing this because you want to? Or are you doing this because you think this is what you need to do? Because we don't want you to do it that way. We want you to want this. Um, she confirms that she does want this. This is sincere. She wants to do this. So he does exactly that. He massages her, and you could tell she's into it. She's getting into it. She likes the touch, you know? She says it is pleasurable, and yeah, she appears to be loving life right now. And that's a great first step. So she's feeling more emotionally ready to explore things, but physically the dilators are still hurting her. So she found a sexual healer. So we're going to do a yoni mapping, this healer tells us. And she is going to insert a rose quartz wand, which is really no different than the dilator, Sonali says. Um, but this woman, this sexual healer, she's good, y'all. She knows what she's doing because she starts breaking down Sonali. She starts breaking down. She says the fact that you're crying means it's working because she's releasing those tensions. She's releasing her trauma, her guilt. She's releasing it all. It was fascinating to watch. Um, she says as the process is going, it's not hurting as much. And y'all, it's not her. My girl's, I think she experienced an orgasm that day. It looked to me like that's what she was experiencing. From what I've experienced, that's what it looked like. My girl experienced an orgasm. I'm telling you. Then she goes near the G spot, which again, like I said, she experienced an orgasm. It's very difficult to not. When you touch the G spot, it's hard to not. And she was able to get about 2 inches of the wand in, which is fantastic because, like Sonal has been saying, the dilators have been hurting her. So Sonali is like, I heard the average man is like 5 inches, so I'm halfway there. Honey, come and close. Come close. Okay. Yes, the average size of a man's penis is 5 inches. However, most of them are not 5 inches. But they're out there, you know, but most of them are not. You're gonna get 6, 7. I don't think she can handle an 8. That's too much for her. Hell, I think even 7 might be too much for her. But depending on the type of man you're looking at and who you're going for, or what they've got to offer you, I- just be prepared that they're gonna be more than 5. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, that's basically the end of that. We get her on-screen text, and it says, after her orgasmic experience, Sonali is finding new ways to recapture that feeling and hopes to share it with someone very soon. We see she's on a date with a man who is also a virgin. That's it. Now, she's on the virginity with that guy. I hope she does. Anyways, that's it for Sonali. Ugh, let's move on to the last but not least, the one I do not like. That's Dan. She's 35 years old. Like I said, she sucks. The closest she got to having sex was 17 years ago. She says she never had a boyfriend. Yep. She doesn't know what BDSM is. Ask Rasha, she'll let you know. She says, I am too picky. Y'all, you don't even know how picky this bitch is going to be. She pictures Prince Charming from a Hallmark movie. That shit doesn't exist. What the fuck? Like, again, okay. Then this decent looking guy comes to her table. She's with her friends. And he asks for her number. And she says, well, I don't give out my number. And the reason why I have to comment on the way the man looks is because he's a good-looking man. But to her, he is not. The spark wasn't there. So she didn't want to give her number to this guy because it ain't happening for me, is what she wants to say. Ugh. Her friends say she's waiting for that fire that doesn't always start right away. Very true. It doesn't. Sometimes it has to build upon. Ugh. Then she says, well, he had no swag. The fuck is swag? Swag is not going to do shit for you. I'm sorry, but it's not. You need to like a person to accept their swag, I guess. Anyway, another comes to the table and she's like, he's a 2. And bitch, you're a 1 with your personality. Fuck. She says, I don't know why other people can do this and I can't. Really? I'll tell you why. Because your expectations are too high. Because you're out here looking for Prince Charming for Shrek, thinking that that's going to be for you. You're out here looking for Chris Hemsworth when you need to be settling down with a Pete Davidson. Shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you need to be looking out for. You need to be looking for the guy who makes you laugh and makes you feel good and protects you. You know what I mean? You can't be out here looking for a guy who's more concerned about his goddamn hammer. The fuck? That's why. That's why. You're out here looking for unrealistic men, thinking that that's the end all be all. And if you don't get that, then, well, I'm going to be a virgin for the rest of my life, bitch. It ain't going to happen for you. It's just not. So prepare to be a virgin for the rest of your fucking life. Anyways, she's meeting Tammy Pickle. And every time I hear this woman's name, I think Tommy Pickle from Rugrats, in case you don't know that. If you're not as old as I am. Anyway, she's a matchmaker. The matchmaker is like, her being a virgin is going to be tricky because men don't really want to deal with her because she's a goddamn virgin. No offense. She says, well, my ideal man is Liam Hemsworth, the one who cheated on Miley fucking Cyrus. Many, many, many. Did I say many times? That's her ideal guy, y'all. That's it. That's who she wants. Good fucking for you. Go ahead and go have him. Tammy is like, well, celebrity looks are unattainable. You don't fucking say. We're normal people. Say it again. But she is just looking for the diamond in the rough. Well, then you're going to be a virgin for the rest of your life while you're searching for that diamond in the rough. You know what I mean? The fuck is this, Aladdin? Anyway, she's like, what about averages? Well, let's not say that. We can't have an average man. Can't have an average Joe. Meanwhile, you don't look like a Miley Cyrus or a Taylor Swift or any of that shit. You look like you. I'm not saying she's a bad looking girl. She's not. She's beautiful. But she's not like drop dead gorgeous. You're no Selena Gomez, Demi Lovato. You're you. You're here looking saying that you want this, that, and the fucking other. Yeah, you look like you. Calm the fuck down, my girl. Anyways, so Tammy has lost her shit in just about 2 seconds because she says, I'm trying to help you, but you're not letting me help you. Tammy says, those pretty guys are not going to want to deal with her virginity. Exactly. They can have any woman they want, and they can have women who have experience, women who are not going to have to make them beg for it, men that are just going to be like, hey, good morning, my dick. You know what I mean? You're not that. They're gonna have to put work in for you. Not saying that you're not worth the work, but I'm just trying to say the men you are going after are not the men you want to be going after. So, you want to deal with the nice guy who is going to be patient with you, the nice guy that's not going to put the pressure on you, who's going to get to know you. And then whatever happens, happens. But she doesn't want the nice guy, okay? She wants the bad boy. She wants Liam fucking Hemsworth. Anyway, but she said she does have a match for her. He's good looking, but not a celebrity good looking. It's okay, we don't need a celebrity. You're never gonna get that. Never gonna get it, never gonna get it, no, you're never gonna get okay. Does a celebrity look like? That's all she wants, bitch. Okay, so she has this guy named Ricardo. She thinks he's fit, cute, but that's not my man. There's no spark, no chemistry. I just know right away, what I like and what I need. The fucking bitch. This guy is very cute. This guy is very cute. And she's just like, there's no spark. Because he doesn't fucking know you. You don't know him. Sometimes you need to get to know a person and talk to them to maybe be like, huh, was that a spark I just saw there? You know what I mean? Give it a moment. So the convo was awkward because she's already out. She's not even trying anymore. And she's like, there's a million guys in this city. 'Cause she's figuring it out. She's in LA. All the guys in the city. It's like, is it hard to find like one hot one? No, it's not. Unfortunately, though, they're not gonna want to deal with your ass. Newsflash. You know what I mean? Then the waiter, y'all, the fucking waiter comes, not his fault, by the way, comes by and she's just like, and there it is. She's googly eyed. She's staring at him. I think I saw some drool at one point. She is like so into this guy that she's not paying attention to anything. She's like kind of have your babies kind of situation. So yeah, like when Ricardo asked her a question, she's googly eyeing the waiter. The producers are wingmanning for her though. But he's like, yeah, I'm not single. Unfortunately, was his words. I hope your girlfriend won't watch the show to hear you say, fortunately, I'm not single. Anyways, so that was a bust. So she's been on a bunch of dates after that, but none of them had sparks or chemistry, blah, blah, blah. Then there's a guy at the gym who is clearly young, and she gets mad at her friends because her friends are like trying to like, hey, about that guy, hey, about that guy, how about that guy? Here's the thing. Do I think her friends have good intentions? Yes. Do I think it's unproductive to be like, how about that guy? How about that guy? How about that guy? She can't be with every guy. She can't want to be with every guy. I'm not saying that she needs to be. Just because she's a virgin, like that's not realistic. Um, so I do understand her frustration with that. But at the same time, it's like, but they're also trying to say to you, you're too fucking picky. You're out here looking for freaking Prince Charming from Cinderfucking-rella, thinking that that's your guy. Actually, no, she doesn't want that. She wants, like, Prince Eric from Ariel. Didn't we all? Honestly. Anyways. So, she, so yeah, she gets upset and she's like, go have that conversation on your own. Like, she's just done with it. So then she's at an icebreaker event and there is only one guy that she's interested in. He's Canadian. Yay. Woo woo. Then we get into an ice bath. It's fine. So the cold bath guy, I don't know how old he is, or sorry, what his name is, but he's 23 years old. Let me remind you all, she's 35. So that's a no. So she's like, let's go see Tammy. Let's see what Tammy has to offer her. So Tammy suggests, how about dating on stage? This is a little thing that I know about in front of an audience. And you're going to be blindfolded. It's like I could meet these two comedians have set this kind of thing up. It's an interesting idea actually, but that's what they're going to be doing. So we're here, we're doing it. This thing is called updating. That's what they've called it. She admits that she has never had a boyfriend before while on stage. Then they ask her, "So when's the last time you had a hookup?" This bitch says in 2017, honey, they're not asking you the last time you kissed somebody or maybe went to second base. They want to know the last time you fucked just to fuck. That's what they're asking you because that hasn't happened. And 2017, I don't know exactly when this was. I'm gonna guess 2024. So it's been a minute. But of course, as the guy that I mentioned, there was no sex. But I think the guy is getting what is going on here, like one of the guys here. And he asked the question, "Are you a virgin? Like, have you had sex before?" And she says, "No." And he's like, okay. How old are you? 35? Honestly, like, whoa. You know what I mean? And it's like, we've never seen a 35-year-old virgin before. We haven't. But anyways, we bring out this guy named Conrad. And he says, "Hi." He says, "Hi, Deanna," or Deanna, sorry, "I am emotionally available." Cute. Conrad does want to have kids. He wants to maybe have 3 biological kids and potentially one adopted, which makes him a saint. She's loving his personality. Then they take the blindfolds off, and I'm like, he's cute, but is he cute enough for her? Because again, as we know, she's googly-eyed for the waiter, who is very attractive. But, like, this guy isn't that to me, you know what I mean? So I'm like, is he gonna be hot enough for her? Surprisingly enough, he is. He is, y'all. Which makes me think, you said you liked his personality, blindfolded, all this. This clearly goes to show you maybe need to be on a show called Love is Blind, where you can maybe fall in love with somebody and without, sight unseen and build that spark with somebody. She's perfect. She's exactly what Love is Blind is all about. Seriously. So she's like, I don't hook up a lot, but he's like, it's okay to wait. There's no timeline. But then they say, eyes closed, thumb up or thumb down if they're interested or not. And y'all, yeah, she does a thumb up. They both do. So we're gonna see a little bit more of him. They're going on a date, and she's going to actually his place for the first date and me having dinner for them. The conversation is going well, but they do talk about her lack of experience with relationships and sex. And they go back into the house, and he says, "I want to give you a baby kiss." And like the cameras are kind of like off to the side, that we're not actually seeing them head on. And she's like, um, "No, like the cameras, I don't feel comfortable." But spoiler alert, Deanne actually tells the crew, "Listen, cameras or no cameras, I don't give a shit. I wanted to kiss him. This TV show wouldn't matter to me. I would have just kissed him." She says she's not into it. She says that there is no, stay with me, everybody, spark. This bitch. So that's basically the end of her. We get the on-screen text for her that says, "Deanna's still searching for someone with that spark, but she's set a goal to find him by the end of the year." Baby. And that is that, y'all. That is it for this episode. So yeah, you'll be getting the next episode that you've missed, that I've missed during the Christmas break soon enough. I don't know what that is, 'cause I can't remember the schedule. But yeah, that's basically it, y'all. That is it for this episode. If you liked what you heard, bear with me because I have not done an outro for this, for the podcast in quite some time. So bear with me here. So if you liked what you heard, you can go to any of your favorite podcast apps. You can follow, make sure you don't miss a single episode. And you can also rate the podcast at either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It'd be greatly appreciated. As a reminder, any 5-star ratings that are given to the podcast or any comments that are given to the podcast will be read on the podcast, which I have done in the past. If you want to connect with the podcast through social media, you can find me at Facebook and Instagram at Reality Tea times 2. You can also find me at Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Reality times 2 pod, I believe. You can email me at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com, and you can have any inquiries, anything like that, any ideas, any shows or episodes you want me to cover, you can definitely do that over there. And I am going back to our old website, and that is at solo.to/reality tea times 2. There you can get any of the links to anything that I didn't mention here, any of the socials, website, email, all of that. It's all there for you. And we also have a new thing there where you can help support the podcast as well. It's called a tip jar. And you can tip whatever your heart's desire if you want to support the podcast, but don't want to necessarily support the podcast in going to Patreon, for example, or any of the links in any of the advertisements. You can do it there. But since we're on the topic of Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality tea times 2, where there you can get access to even more than what I do here. There are 3 different tiers where you can get these shows ad free, as well as our next tier up where you would get another reality show that's being covered. So, we have Jersey Shore that's been getting covered. That's still being covered currently at the time of recording of this outro, but the future is bright with what's to come in the future, which I will be discussing, or I have discussed. I don't even know. And then also our next tier is a true crime tier as well. So you can definitely head over for that. But that is basically it. I will also just quickly mention here too, if you're interested in a different take of a podcast that I'm a part of, we do things a little differently. You can head on over to Next Take Podcast, where I usually drop bonus episodes here on this feed, but there you get a lot more. And that podcast is making changes. We're growing, doing new things, but you can definitely head on over there if you want to just hear a little bit different than what I do over here. So you can find that podcast over at our website, solo.to/next take podcast. And there we'll have all the links to your desire that will link you to any of your favorite podcast apps or YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Social medias, it's all over there. But of course, you can still find that podcast at any of your favorite podcast apps. But that is it for this episode. We'll see you next time with another episode. Bye, everybody.